Hello, receiving students, receiving teachers, and 6Es. Thank you. Keep standing. Now, class, what did we learn in our previous lesson? Who can still remember what we learned in our previous lesson? Receiving teacher, we are recapping on what the students have learned in their previous lesson. Let's have Taylor.
Capacity.
Okay, very good. Capacity. Laka.
Volume and capacity.
Volume and capacity. Very good. Any more others? Any other things that you learned in those lessons? I know you were doing a lot of interesting activities. So I'd like us to tell our other friends what we can still remember. Victoria?
Measuring capacity.
Come again?
Measuring capacity.
Measuring capacity. You were doing activities on how you can measure capacity using the different metric units, the different types of containers that you will have to compare, whether it's true or not with the units. Let's have another one from Robert.
Conversion of capacity.
Okay, very good. Conversion of capacity. What were you doing when you were converting in that particular lesson? Who can still remember what were you actually doing? Receiving students, I'd like you to also tell your teacher what you learned in those lessons. Okay, let's have Moro.
Measuring cube.
Come again, loud and clear.
Measuring cube.
Okay, measuring cube. Thank you very much for all those answers. 6Es and receiving students, these were some of the things that you learned in your previous lesson. Good to see that or hear that students still remember what they have learned. So I hope the receiving students have also given their answers. Okay, thank you. You may be seated. Okay, this is what we have gone through. I'd like us now to sit down very quietly and let's watch a short picture showing different things that I'd like you to pick out yourself. What is it relating to? What are these pictures showing to us? So I'd like 6Es and receiving students to watch this very carefully and pick out the important things that you will see from this insert. In front of you, you should have a paper and a biro that you take note. What are you going to learn while watching? Let's now have a look at those pictures that are being viewed on screen. You watch that carefully and take note of what you are seeing. Look at this diagram very carefully and try to pick out its importance. What are some of the important things that you are seeing from those diagrams that are appearing or the pictures? And try to see whether we do use these things every day in our life and why is it important. Okay, looking at this very closely. I hope you have picked out the different things that you have seen from these different diagrams, 6Es and receiving students. Let's go back just saying what we have seen. What was the first picture that you saw? Robert. Loud and clear? Receiving students, please give your answer to your teacher. What was the first picture that you saw? Loud and clear? Okay, a triangle and a square. He saw two pictures. Were they the first ones that he saw? The first picture that came on screen. He saw the triangle and the square. Do we all agree? Now, where are they coming from? The real picture, where are they coming from? I can hear students giving a word. Who would like to tell the class? Where were those two diagrams or shapes coming from? Moro. Okay, very good. They are coming from a picture of a house. Okay, thank you, Moro. The triangle and the square were coming out from the picture of a house. Do we see those shapes in our homes? Yes. This is how important the different shapes that we use in our everyday life. So don't think that people build houses for the sake of building it. They got to come up with some kind of shapes. And here we have picked out the two shapes which were a triangle and a square. What were the other shapes that we saw? Okay, let's have Melissa. If you are watching very carefully, you should be giving my answers.
Rectangle.
Loud and clear, come again.
Rectangle.
Okay, very good. She saw a shape of a rectangle. Now, Melissa, where did you see that picture? Where is it coming from?
From a window of a house.
Okay, from a window of a house. Here you saw it coming from the media center, the rectangle shape of a window. So at our homes also we have windows in the form of a rectangle. Can we have another one? Lauren, what did you see?
Kite. Kite.
Okay, she saw a picture of a kite or shape of a kite. On the picture of the kite, what was the actual drawing or what was the actual picture? Brad? Would you be able to tell the class what you saw? Who can tell the class what they saw on that shape? Minol?
Fire extinguisher.
Fire extinguisher. Okay, to correct him there, it's inflammable sign, or the sign shows that inflammable liquids, meaning we shouldn't be bringing fire closer to that sign. We must keep away from it. It's showing us or telling us that it is dangerous. Keep away from it. So, class, there are different types of signs that comes in a form of shapes. We use shapes in our everyday life, at home, at our workplace, even at school we use that a lot, but we don't really know what are these type of shapes. So in our lesson for today, we will be talking about shapes, and it's to do with polygons. That's our lesson topic for today. But before we go to that, I'd like us to again look at these two diagrams on the screen. What can you say about these two diagrams? Look at it very carefully. Can we have some answers? Alan? Can you tell the class what can you see from those two diagrams?
Square.
Okay, very good. He can see a shape of a square. What else can you see? What can you tell me about those two pictures? Robert?
Incomplete semicircle.
Come again?
Incomplete semicircle.
Incomplete.
Semicircle.
Okay. This is an incomplete shape. It's in a form of a semicircle. That's what Robert is saying. Do we all agree? Yes. It's an incomplete shape. And what can you say about this? The shape is complete, to be opposite to that. Very good. That is one thing that I'm looking for from these two diagrams. The first diagram is complete, and the second diagram is not complete. There's still one part of it still missing. Any more other things that you can see from those two diagrams? Let's look at it very carefully. Robert gave us one very good one, meaning he's very observant. Jason, what can you see from these two pictures? What can you see from these two diagrams?
Windows.
Square and semicircle.
Okay, he's giving us the two different shapes, a square and a semicircle. Let's now look at those two shapes. We have answered part of the questions. One, Robert gave us that the shape is not complete. Let's have a look at it to just see where are the things that need to be seen from this diagram. Remember, the square is a commonly used shape that we use every day, and you can still remember it's a four-sided figure with four equal lengths. Let's have a look at this shape here very carefully. Okay, not a closed figure like what Robert said. It's not complete. I will still get that answer. So the proper description for it would be not a closed figure. The shape here is not complete. Another thing that we can see from this line, not a line segment, or it's not a straight line, it's a curve. In a square, you saw the four straight lines that completed the shape. This one, you saw one straight line and another was a curve. So in our lesson for today, we are going to be looking at shapes that are closed, shapes that have line or straight lines or line segments, and you will be doing that as part of your activity. So in front of you, 6th and receiving students, you should already have the different shapes that the teacher will be or have prepared for you to work on. You also have the different glue or marker that you have and the A3 paper that you are going to be sorting out those different shapes. So receiving students, our lesson for today is on polygons. So in front of you, you have those different polygons. Having in mind 6th and receiving students, we have regular polygons and irregular polygons. You have an activity that you are going to be sorting out these diagrams or the shapes that you have in front of you. I'd like you to divide the paper that is in front of you in half. On one side of the paper, I'd like you to have this table, or you fold it in half. One column will be written polygons, and the other side of the column you'll have non-polygons. So this is the table that you will be sorting out those polygons into. Having in mind we have seen those two different polygons. I'd like you to just sort that out first before we come to seeing what are those different shapes. Divide your A3 paper in half. One has non-polygons and the other one polygons. I'd like you to discover it yourself first to see the different shapes that you have. We went through the two shapes, but I'd like you to do that activity to find out for yourself. How are you going to sort out those shapes? You should be working in your groups. You try to sort out which shapes are polygons and which ones are non-polygons. Write a short description as to how and why you have sorted out your shape in that manner. You have the glue with you. Please do that quickly. Okay, it's not fun time. We should be completing the activity.
The instruction, you just write the activity, your group number, and you divide the shape, polygons, non-polygons.
After, when you have sorted out which shapes are polygons and which ones are non-polygons, and if you are happy with the way you have arranged them, I'd like you to put a little bit of glue at the back of it and paste it on that chart. And then you have to write a description or an explanation why you have it that way. Okay, there shouldn't be any writing. Everybody should be partaking in sorting out the shapes and gluing them onto those two different columns.
Follow people too. But we put them on so that when they are presenting now, it comes on the PowerPoint for the kids to see. Because of JC, they will do the activity first and then I will give away the definition. I wanted them to discover it for themselves. That's why the table is kept behind them. We just choose to be like body walking activity and then I can define to them what are polygons.
You should be pasting those shapes now into those two different columns after sorting them out. And select someone now to write a short description on how you have sorted out those shapes. Okay, one group is about to finish. You have to work as a group. What's your group number? One group have finished, meaning the others should be also finished. You check this again. Check this again. Gap. Straight lines are polygons. Yes, just a short description here. You can write it down here. And have somebody to present. is it going to go? Something very short. Not a story. A very short one. Why did you? Yes, you can combine the two of them in one description. Why did you arrange it that way? And then you write your reason. Oh, because like this, like this. These ones have this one, and these ones have this, whatever, that you can pick out from the shapes. I'd like you to check this again. Okay, can we have at least groups to present what they have come up with, how they have come up with the sorting out of those different shapes or different polygons. Let's have group 4 first to present to the class how they have arranged their shapes as in the form of polygons and non-polygons. Receiving students, I hope you have also completed all your shapes, sorting them out in those 2 columns. And you can listen now to your other friends, what they will have to present. Okay, thank you, group 4 members. I'd like you to come up and present what you have done and maybe explain why you have come up with that manner of sorting out those polygons. Okay, quickly.
A polygon has more than 3 sides, and a non-polygon has curved-sided shape.
Okay, very good. That's one thing that they have figured out from those different shapes. Any others that your friends can add on to that? Alan? Are you going to say something additional to what Laka have said? Laka have said that they have sorted out the shapes in that manner because polygons, they see that they have more than 1 lines, more than 3 lines or sides. And non-polygons, they have shapes that are incomplete or they have curved lines. Let's give them 3 big claps. Group 4, quickly. Let's have Anna Lolo's group now to come and present what they have come up with and hear what they will have to say. And I hope you others are checking and confirming your shapes with what these groups are presenting. Face the class. Face the class.
Why we have put the shapes in order like this? It's because polygons are shapes that are straight-sided and they are also completed shapes. As for non-polygon shapes, they are not completed and they also are not straight-sided shapes.
Well done. Let's give a 5 big claps. Okay, so I have actually explained how they have sorted out the shapes written here. So we will now go on to confirming what she has said to the class or the group. So I hope we have also taken note of what she said. Okay, these were some of the things that we were supposed to pick out from those different shapes that we have gone through. Polygons are closed shapes whose sides are all line segments or with straight sides. Anna Lolo have said that in her description. The other point that we need to consider, the name of polygons. The name of polygons depends on the number of sides it has. So those are some of the things that we need to take note of when we are coming across shapes that we use in our everyday lives. So we call them as polygons, as in mathematics. In our next lesson, we will go in deeper into some of the things that you and I still yet to learn about polygons. So I will give you 2 minutes to quickly copy those 2 important points into your books. You should now be completing your last point. Class, we have our summary point now on the board. Polygons are closed shapes whose sides are all line segments or with straight sides. And our key phrase for today, straight sides. To the receiving teacher, our next lesson topic is on properties of polygons. Materials needed for the lesson are charts, markers, pencils, crayons, glue, sticky tape, activity sheet, A4 papers, rulers, and scissors. And also, I'd like you to prepare some of the shapes that you have known of that we will be needing for our next lesson. With that, 6th and receiving students, we have come to the end of our lesson. Thank you very much for your participation.